In animal class 8 chapter 6, do you recall the process of digestion, circulation, respiration which you have studied in your previous class? These processes are essential for survival for every individual. You have also learned about the process of reproduction in plant. Reproduction is essential for the continuations of species. Imagine what would have happened if organism had not reproduced. You will be realize that reproduction is very important as it ensures the continuance of similar kinds of individuals generations after generation. You have already learned in your previous class about reproduction in plant. In this chapter we shall learn how reproduction take place in animals. Mode of reproduction. Have you seen the young ones of different animals? Try to name some of a young ones by completing table 6.1 shown example. At S1 1 and 5 you must have seen the young ones various animal being born. Can you tell how chicks and caterpillars are born? How are kitten and puppies born? Do you think that these young ones looked the same before they were born as they do now? Let us find out. Some animals are young. Humans and baby, cat, dog, butterfly, hens, chickens, cow and frog. Just as plant, there are two modes by which animals reproduce. These are sexual reproduction, asexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction. Try to recall reproduction in plant which you study in class 7th. You will be remember that plant that reproduce sexually have male and female reproductive part. Can you name these part in animals? Also male and female have different reproductive part and organ. Like plants, the reproductive parts in animals also produce gametes that fuse form zygote. It is a zygote which develop into new individuals. This type of reproductions being from the fusion of male and female gamete is located. Sexual reproduction. Let us find out reproductive part in humans and study the process of reproduction in term male reproductive organ. The male reproductive organ include pairs of testes, singular testes, two sperm duct and pens. The testes produce male gamete called the sperm. Millions of sperms are produced by the testes. Look at 6.2 which show the picture of sperm. Though the sperms are very small in size, each has head, middle, pipes and tail. Does it appear to be single cell? Indeed, each sperm duct penis. Male reproductive organ in humans. Sperm in single cell with all the usual cell component: head, middle, pipes, tail. Human sperm. What purpose does the tail in sperm serve? Female reproductive organ. The female reproductive organ are pair of ovaries, oviduct, fallopian tube, and uterus. The oviduct, ovary, uterus. Female reproductive organ in humans. Female gametes called ovaries and human beings. A single mature egg is released into oviduct. By one the ovaries vary every month. Uterus is part where development of the babies take place. Like the sperm and egg is also single cell. Nucleus, ovum, fertilization, sperm. You know that the zygote is the beginning of new individuals. Bojo recall that the size of egg in animal varies. The egg may be very small as a human, much larger as a hen's. Ostrich egg is the largest. Fertilization. The first step in the process of reproduction is fusion of sperm and ovum. When sperm come in contact with an egg, one of the sperms many fuse with the egg, such as a fusion. The egg and sperm is called fertilization. During fertilization, is nuclei of sperm, the egg fuse to form a single nucleus. This results in the formation of fertilized egg and zygote. The process of fertilization is the mating of the egg cell from the mothers and the sperm cells from the father. So the new individuals inherit some characteristic from the mother and some from the father. Look at your brother or sister. See if you can recognize same characters in them, similar to those of your mother on your father. Fertilization, which take place inside the female bodies, is called internal fertilization. Internal fertilization occurs in the many animals, including humans, cow, and ducks and hens. Have you heard test tube babies? Bojo and Paheli teachers one told them the class that is some women oviduct are blocked. These women are unable to bear babies because sperm cannot reach the egg for fertilization. In such case, doctor collect freshly released egg and sperm and keep them together for the few hours for IVM. In vitro fertilization. Fertilization outside the body. In case fertilizations occurs, a zygote is allowed to develop for about a week and then it is placed to the mother uterus. Complete development take place in the uterus and the baby is born like any other babies. Babies born through this techniques are called test tube babies. This term is actually misleading because babies cannot grow in test tube. You will be surprised to know that in many animals fertilization takes place outside the body of female. In this animal, fertilization takes place in water. Let us find out how this happens. Visit some ponds and slow flowing streams during spring or rainy seasons. Look out for the cluster frog eggs floating in water. Write down the color and size of the eggs. During the spring of rainy seasons, frog and toads move to ponds and slow following stream. When the male and female come together in water, the eggs are laid, the male and deposits sperm over them. Each sperm swims gently in water. With the help of its long tail, the sperm come in contact with the eggs. This results in fertilization. This type of fertilization in which fusion of male and female gamete take place outside the body of female is called external fertilizations. It is very common in aquatic animals such as a fish, starfish. Why do fish and frogs lay egg in hydras, where the hen lays only one egg at a time? Though these animals lay hundreds of eggs and release millions of sperm, all the eggs do not get fertilized and develop into new individuals. This is because the egg and sperm get exposed to water, movement and wind and rainfall. Also, there are other animals in the pond which may feed on eggs. Thus, reproduction or large number of eggs and sperm is necessary to ensure fertilization of last least a few them. How could a single cell become such as a big individuals? Development of embryo. Fertilization result in the formation of zygote which begin to develop into an embryo. The zygote divided rapidly to give rise to a ball of cell. The cell then begin to the form group that develop into different tissue and organ of the body. The developing structure is termed as an embryo. The embryo get embedded in the wall of the uterus for further development. The embryo continues to develop the uterus is a gradually developed body. Uterus, ovary, zygote, embodied. Adi. Parts such as hand, legs, head, eyes, ears, the stage of embryo in which all of the body part can be identified is called fetus. When the development of fetus is complete, the mother gives birth to the baby. Internal fertilization takes place in the hens also, but do hens give birth to the babies like human beings and cows? You know that they do not, then how are chicks born? Let us find out. Soon after fertilization, the zygote divides rapidly and travels down the oviduct. As it travels down, many protective layers are formed around it. The hard shell that you see in hen's egg in one such protective layer. After the hard cell is formed around the developing embryo, the hen finally lays egg. The embryo takes about 3 weeks to develop into a chick. You must have seen the hen sitting on the egg to providing sufficient warmth. Did you know that development of chicks talks? Placed inside the eggshell during this period after chicks is completely developed, it bursts open the egg cell in animal which undergo external fertilization. Development of embryo take place outside the female body. The embryo continues to grow within their egg, conversing after the embryo develop the eggs. As you must have seen the numerous tadpoles swimming in pond and stream. Viviparous and oviparous animal. We have learned that some animals give birth to young ones, while some animals lay eggs, which latter tadpole develop into the young ones. The animals which give a birth to the young ones are called viviparous animal. Those animal which lays egg are called oviparous animal. The following activity will help you understand better and differentiate between the viviparous and oviparous animal. 6.2. Try to observe egg for following organism: frog, lizard, butterfly or moth, hen, a crow or any other bird. Were you able to observe egg of all them? Make drawing of the eggs that you have observed. The egg of few animals are easy to observe because their mother lay them outside their bodies. These are example of oviparous animal, but you would not be able to collect the eggs a dog, cow, a cat. This is because they do not lay eggs. The mother gave birth to the young ones. These are example of viviparous animal. Can you now give us some more example of viviparous and oviparous animal? Young ones to adult. The new individuals which are born are hatched from egg continuous to grow till they become adult. In some animal, the young ones may look very different from adults. The life cycle of growth shown. Observe the different stage of frog starting from the egg to adult stage. We find that there are three distinct stages, that is egg, tadpole, adult. Do not a tadpole look so different from the adult? Can you imagine that these tadpole would someday become frog? The tadpole transform into adults capable of jumping and swimming. The transformation of the larva into an adult through drastic change is called metamorphosis. What about the change that we observe in our body as we grow? Do you think we too undergo metamorphosis in human beings? Body parts similar to those present the adults are present from the time birth. Asexual reproduction. So far, we have learned about reproduction in some familiar animals, but what about very small animals like hydra and microscopic organisms like amoeba? Do you know how they reproduce? Let us find us. Get a permanent slide of hydra, observe them using hand lens or microscopy. Look out for any bugs on the parent body. Count the numbers of bugs that you see in the different site. Also note size of buzz dome. The diagram of the hydra as you see, compare it with in each hydra, there may be one or more buds. These bugs are the developing new individuals and they are called buds. Recall the presence of buds in yeast and hydra to the new individuals develop as outgrowth from a single parent. This type of reproduction is which only a single parent is involved class called asexual reproductions. Since new individuals develop from buds in hydra, this type of sexual reproduction is called budding. And another method of asexual reproduction is observed in the microscopic organism. Amoeba, let us see how this happens. You have already learned about the structure of amoeba. You will recall the amoeba is single cell organism. It begins the process of reproduction by the divisions of its nucleus into two nuclei. This is followed by division of its body into two, each part of receiving a nucleus. Finally, two amoeba are produced from a one parent amoeba. This type of asexuals. Binary fission in amoeba, two daughters amoeba. Reproduction in which an animal reproduces by dividing into two individuals called binary fissions. Apart from budding and binary fissions, there are other methods by which single parent reproduce young ones. You will be study about this in your higher class. Story of Dolly and clone. Cloning is the reproduction of the an exact copy of cell and any other living a part of the complete organism. Cloning of an animals was successfully performed for the the first time for the Brilliant and the colleagues of the Roslin Institute of Edinburgh, Scotland. They successfully cloned a ship, namely Dolly. Dolly was born 5 July 1996 as the first mammal to be cloned. During this process, cloning Dolly herself was collected from the mammary gland of female finest Dorset sheep. Stimulus can egg was obtained from Scottish blackfish. The nucleus was removed from the egg. Then the nucleus of mammary gland cell from the fine shapes, dorset shapes was inserted into the egg. Scottish blackfish evo whose nucleus had been removed. The egg those reproduced was implanted into the Scottish blackfish evo. Development of egg followed normally and finally Dolly was born. Through the Dolly was given birth by Scottish blackfish evo. It was found to be absolutely identical to fine Dorset shrimp from which the nucleus was taken since the nucleus from the egg of Scottish blackfish ever was removed. Dolly did not, the finest digestive produced several offspring of her own through normal sexual means. Unfortunately, Dolly died 14 February 2003 due to certain lung disease. Since Dolly, several attempts have been made to produce cloned mammal. However, many die before birth or die soon after birth. The cloned animals are many a time found to be born with several abnormalities. Thank you for sessions.